The pyramids of Giza, majestic, inspiring, and a testament to human ingenuity. For over 1,000 years, they were the ultimate status symbol for Egyptian pharaohs. And then, suddenly, they just stopped. What could possibly make an entire civilization abandon its most iconic tradition? The answer isn't what you think, and it involves a secret valley, a team of ancient detectives, and a crime wave that threatened to unravel the very fabric of Egyptian society. Imagine being a pharaoh in ancient Egypt. You've spent your entire life preparing for the afterlife. Your tomb is everything. It's your eternal home, a portal to the gods, and it needs to be stocked with all the gold, jewels, and treasures you'll need for eternity. For centuries, the pyramid was the go-to choice. It was a giant, unmissable beacon pointing to the heavens, a stairway for your soul to ascend. The Great Pyramid of Khufu, for example, took an estimated 20 years and tens of thousands of workers to complete. It was a monumental undertaking, a project that defined a king's reign. But there was a fatal flaw in this grand design. A pyramid is essentially a giant rob me sign. Its sheer size and visibility made it an irresistible target for tomb robbers. Despite elaborate internal mazes, false chambers, and massive stone plugs, thieves almost always found a way in. Think about it. A single pharaoh's tomb contained more wealth than most people would see in 1,000 lifetimes. The temptation was just too great. Grave robbing became a persistent, infuriating problem. Pharaohs would seal their final resting places, only for them to be plundered, sometimes within just a few years or decades of their burial. The very thing meant to ensure their eternal peace was actually putting their soul and their stuff in jeopardy. This is where our story takes a dramatic turn. Around 1550 BC, a new era dawned in Egypt, the New Kingdom. This was a time of immense power, wealth, and military might. Pharaohs like Hatshepsut, Thutmose III, and later, Ramesses the Great, were expanding the empire and bringing in unprecedented riches. They had more resources than ever to build their tombs. So why did they abandon the pyramid? Because they learned from the mistakes of the past. They realized that visibility was the enemy. Security needed a complete rethink. They needed a new strategy, something clever, something discreet. Their solution was a radical departure from tradition. Instead of building up, they decided to dig down. Instead of a public monument, they chose a secret cemetery. They moved their burial operations over 300 miles south of Giza to a remote, desolate, sun-scorched canyon on the west bank of the Nile, opposite the capital city of Thebes, a place we now call the Valley of the Kings. The logic was brilliant. The valley was naturally fortified, surrounded by steep, imposing cliffs. Its entrance was a narrow, easily guarded pathway. The location itself was isolated and difficult to access. Instead of massive pyramids, the New Kingdom pharaohs commissioned tombs that were cut deep into the rock of the cliffs. From the outside, they were practically invisible, with small, easily concealed entrances. Inside, however, they were just as magnificent as any pyramid chamber. Long corridors descended deep into the earth, covered from floor to ceiling with stunningly beautiful and intricate paintings and hieroglyphs. These texts weren't just decoration. They were magical spells, a roadmap to guide the pharaoh safely through the perilous underworld and ensure their rebirth as a god. This shift wasn't just about security. It was also about a change in religious beliefs. In the Old Kingdom, the pyramid's shape was linked to the sun god Ra, representing the sun's rays. By the New Kingdom, the focus shifted more towards the god Osiris, the ruler of the underworld. The journey through the dark, subterranean corridors of the Valley of the Kings tombs mimicked the pharaoh's journey through the underworld itself. The tomb became a functional, magical machine for resurrection, not just a monument. The architecture was now serving a new, more complex religious purpose. So, problem solved, right? Secret valley, hidden tombs, eternal peace guaranteed. Well, not quite. The pharaohs had seriously underestimated human greed and ingenuity. Hiding the tombs was one thing, but keeping them secret was another. An entire village of workers, known as Deir al-Medina, was established nearby. These were the artisans, painters, and craftsmen who spent their entire lives building and decorating these secret tombs. They were the only ones who knew the exact locations. While they were highly respected and well paid, the knowledge they held was incredibly dangerous. And as the new kingdom's power began to wane centuries later, things started to fall apart. Economic instability, famine, and political corruption became rampant. The state could no longer afford to pay the tomb workers properly. Desperate and hungry, some of these very workers, the guardians of the secrets, turned to the one source of wealth they knew, the tombs they had helped create. They became the most effective tomb robbers in history. They knew the layouts, the locations of the hidden shafts, and the tricks used to seal the chambers. An ancient crime wave began. Official court documents from the reign of Ramesses IX, known as the Tomb Robbery Papyri, have survived. They read like ancient police reports, detailing the interrogations and confessions of captured thieves. One papyrus records the confession of a man who broke into the tomb of a 17th dynasty king. He describes how they tunneled through the rock, found the pharaoh and his queen, and stripped them of all their gold, amulets, and jewels before setting fire to their coffins. It's a shocking account of desecration. This created a crisis. The priests and officials responsible for the royal necropolis realized they were fighting a losing battle. The tombs were being systematically emptied. So, they launched an incredible, secret rescue mission. Under the cover of darkness, teams of loyal priests went from tomb to tomb. They gathered up what was left of the royal mummies, dozens of them, including some of the most famous pharaohs in history, like Ramesses the Great and Seti I. They stripped them of any remaining valuables to deter future robbers, rewrapped them, and relabeled them. Then they moved them, first to one tomb, then another, constantly trying to stay one step ahead of the thieves. Finally, they bundled all these legendary kings and queens together and hid them into secret caches. One was an unmarked tomb in the Valley of the Kings, and the other was a hidden chamber in the nearby cliffs of Deir al-Bahri. There, the greatest rulers of the Egyptian empire lay huddled together, forgotten by the world for nearly 3,000 years. It's an almost unbelievable story. These secret caches were only rediscovered in the late 19th century, creating a sensation and giving us the largest single collection of real mummies ever found. So, the real reason pharaohs stopped building pyramids wasn't that they ran out of money or skill. It was a calculated response to a fundamental security problem. They traded the grand, public statement of the pyramid for the secret, subterranean security of the Valley of the Kings. But, in the end, even that wasn't enough to protect them from the desperation and greed of the living. The story of the pyramids is not just one of construction, but also one of deconstruction, robbery, and a desperate, centuries-long struggle to protect the legacy of Egypt's greatest rulers. The final chapter in the Age of the Pharaohs wasn't written in stone on the Giza Plateau, but in secret tunnels and hidden caches, a testament to the fact that no treasure, no matter how well hidden, is ever truly safe. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into ancient history, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more.